Right.
Before the segment started, we were kind of at each other's throats. And
Elizabeth Turner is a therapist, PhD student, vegan, environmental activist, animal lover, and professional model.
I'm scared.
She's doing everything she can to save this planet. Meanwhile, Dan Munsey is a fire chief who has spoken to the U.S. House of Representatives and once ate a steak at Denny's.
have you ever had a steak from Denny's?
Will the debate get heated, or do opposites attract?
Why the emphasis on the psycho?
Today, they're sitting down together to discuss one specific topic, the environment.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Will they become more united by nature?
Okay, this is what I would like to say.
That's the question we will seek but never answer here on The Fire Pit.
All right. Everyone get offline. Stop watching the show. Turn off your
Turn
computers.
it off right
Except for you
now.
two.
Except for this program. Yeah, okay. Every day I hear people say the environment is in danger, the planet is in peril. You might even think there's no hope left for humanity. It's easy to dwell in despair, and I frequently do. But I decided to do something about it. I've assembled a team of experts here who can help solve, once and for all, each and every one of these problems here today at the Fire Pit.
Yay!
Thank you. You can clap if you want. Let me introduce you to Dan Munsey, Fire Chief of the San Bernardino County Fire District, among many other accomplishments, and Elizabeth Turner, model, activist, psychotherapist, PhD student, and, quote, forever fighting animals. That's wrong, fighting for
The
animals.
animals. You get it. Why the emphasis on the psycho?
No reason whatsoever. I'm just reading what's
We'll have
here.
to chat about that.
Yeah.
See
Okay.
that I'm just going to be around for the conversation, along for the ride. Keep going. This is great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, it's it is my job.
I'm going to remember to subscribe to this channel.
How would both of you describe yourselves and why you care about nature?
You first.
Well, my journey started, I grew up in rural Georgia in a really small town called Griffin. And I was raised among, a community there was a lot of animal agriculture around. And when I was in maybe 5th grade, my teacher described to our class that she had grown up on a chicken farm, and she described it in detail.
Oh.
And this is a memory that is burned into my brain forever. I'll never forget it. She described what it was like to see her friend, the chicken, having been slaughtered on the kitchen counter, described it in detail. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, oh, okay. Chickens, animals, the food we eat has to be killed, has to experience pain for us to, and I just remember thinking, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And then that was the start of my journey as an animal activist, which then led to my journey as an environmental activist. So, yeah.
Dan?
So different. I mean, I was a vegetarian for a year, on a bet, though. And it actually probably happened at this beach when my brother looked at me after a late night at Denny's where I had a steak and bet me that I couldn't do it. For $50, though, who wouldn't?
It was a bet for $50 that you kept up with for a whole year?
Have you ever had a steak from Denny's?
No,
It
I
wasn't
can't
hard.
say I have.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about wildfire. Wildfire is devastating. And when wildfire occurs in in California, some of the most ecological, diverse areas, whether it's in our beautiful forests or in our California deserts, we're not likely to have that habitat come back very quick. And you literally are displacing lots of different animals that are in these species that don't really have anywhere to go. And you can disrupt their migration patterns, you can disrupt their food supply. It's not rare to see after devastating wildfires, deer that are starving because there's no food. And so we work a lot with the animal groups, not only for evacuating animals during a wildfire, it's one of the most important things we do.
Yeah.
There's a fire coming. We worked our law enforcement with volunteers to go evacuate the large animals. When
Yeah.
we set up shelters, we make sure that the animals can come. And then after that wildfire, working on incident management teams, really thinking about that habitat and restoring that habitat back to what's natural as soon as we can to support that ecosystem.
Elizabeth, you worked with your nonprofit, right, after the recent LA fires in 2025 to help collect donations, right?
In response to the January wildfires of last year, I ended up opening up with one of my best girlfriends who owns a store in Santa Monica. She called me and she said, we have to do something because there are not enough resources, and we have resources and we're here. Why wouldn't we do something? You're a therapist, becoming a psychologist, you can help people. Let's use my store. Let's just open it up for a week and just gather resources, gather clothes, gather, toothpaste, things that people might need in this aftermath. So we opened up her store. We took all of her beautiful designer clothes out and opened up our rescue, our community relief center. And turns out there was just so much of a need for it that we ended up doing it for over 4 months, because the community there was just so much need from the community, and people were coming there and they were able to talk to each other about the experience of losing everything, and ended up kind of becoming a community hub for people.
You starting that nonprofit and coming in when people needed you most is one of those things that actually really makes firefighters feel good. People during a fire, they want to come in, they want to bring the firefighters cookies and water and Gatorade and lunches. And what we really need them to do is rally around their community. We want to get their communities back to being Santa Monica, back to being LA, back to being San Bernardino, wherever it is, as quick as we can. Bring that society back. Support the families, help them rebuild. That makes me feel good as a fire chief when I see the community come together and do that through
Thank you.
activism.
I think people think that they see this happening on TV, or they think there's nothing that they could do. You think what could I do? But the way that we like to think about what people can do in the wake of a natural disaster is the 3 T's: time, treasure, and talent. So everyone has something to give. Some people have time to give. Some people have treasure, money that they can donate to support organizations. And some people have, talent. Everyone can do something, right? You just have to do it.
I think people are compelled to want to do something. And as a fire chief, honestly, some of our biggest problems is what do we do with all the help? When the community comes to you and they say, hey, chief, we want to help, and you're still actively fighting that fire, well, we don't want to put them in danger.
Right.
So we work with a lot of nonprofits, different organized groups to deploy the citizen workforce to start helping, whether it's collecting the treasures to support somebody, whether it's donating their time. Recently had devastating mudslides secondary to fire. People see the fires.
Right.
What they don't realize is what comes after the fires. So we had a fire last year called the Bridge Fire, a year and a half ago, that burned into the community of Wrightwood, Mount Baldy, and caused, with the rains, mudslides. And people came and they dug their neighbors out. They volunteered their time. They showed up from all over California and just help, the citizens get back to that normalcy that they need.
Yeah.
This segment I like to call helping or hurting the environment. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few words and you have to respond with either helping or hurting.
Okay.
And I'm sure it will not be divisive whatsoever, okay?
All right.
All right.
Look.
Helping or hurting national parks?
Helping.
Helping.
Okay.
And hurting.
What?
Yeah.
And hurting.
Yeah, absolutely. National parks are great. This is America's treasures. But national parks, when they're not effectively managed to prevent wildfires or prevent the spread of wildfires, can actually hurt. So there's policies that you may not be familiar with. For instance, we have wilderness areas in some national parks, and it could be outside of national parks too. But these wilderness areas, if there's a fire, you literally can't often take mechanicalized equipment like a chainsaw in to fight that fire. You can't drive a vehicle to get to that fire. Instead, you're walking in with axes, you're walking in with shovels, you're walking in with backpack pumps.
Yeah.
Because this environment's so protected. There could be no roads to access the fire. And roads are very controversial in our natural resources. And one way you can look at it is if there's a road, there's going to be a lot of humans that are going to go into this wilderness, and it's going to spoil the wilderness. And it's definitely true. There's people that just don't care about our environment. But on the flip side, if there's a fire in the middle of the wilderness and I can't get to it, this fire is going to start growing bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So helpful in the fact that it's protecting our natural treasures, the national parks. Harmful, and sometimes we can't make access to the emergencies to keep these fires small that can become devastating and frankly burn down the national park.
All right, let's continue. Helping or hurting? Therapy.
Helping. Helping.
Okay, explain.
We're teaching people to be a little bit more empathetic and to be able to interact with people around them in a kinder way. And I think that's helping.
Okay.
I have to agree. We've seen a lot of devastation in the last few years.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, they need good quality people to spend the time with them to teach them how to cope and how to have the resiliency.
Yeah.
we're moving on to another segment.
Let's
all
do
right?
it.
This segment is called Guess the Guest's Quotes. All right, I'm going to read real quotes. These are real quotes that either of you have said.
Oh, God.
Okay? And you have to guess which one of you said it.
Well, if I didn't say it, it would be an easy guess.
You think? You
think-
would think.
I
You would
hope
think.
so.
I think we're gonna know.
Uh-oh.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
I'll take all the fire ones. You take all the activists, the model, the therapist,
I'm scared.
Yes.
All right.
See what he found.
Our researchers work day and night, and
Oh,
we
God.
don't even pay them. All right, how about this? One thing is for sure, we definitely need more research.
That has to be me, right?
I see.
You could
Probably
have said
me.
it too.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking both of us actually said this at some point. They're trying to confuse us.
We've both said an iteration of it. We both said an iteration of it tonight.
So we agree. It's both of us. Thank you, Jake.
So
Next
you're
question.
both pro-research.
Yes.
Oh, heck yes. I'm doing a PhD, of course.
Okay. What about ignorance? What happened to good old ignorance?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
saying.
But is it?
Is it?
I don't agree with that. I would not say that. That was your quote.
We have a therapist right here. Tell us. Is ignorance bliss?
I'm joking, but I do see some people maybe that living, I wouldn't say ignorance. I think there's something to a simple life. That's all I'm saying.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And so if you don't know what you don't know, can it really bother you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I should just get offline, probably. A little bit.
I
think
think we all
everybody should get offline.
We should all get
We
offline.
both said that. Both of us said that, Jake.
All right, everyone get offline. Stop watching the show. Turn off your
Turn
computers.
it off right
Except for you
now.
two.
Except for this program. Yeah, okay. You like pain? Try wearing a corset. Who said that?
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
Are you wearing one now?
When I got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I said that. It has
That was
to be you.
definitely not me. That had
That
to be.
was Elizabeth Turner. from
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Oh,
my alter ego.
no way.
I was like, that was not me.
Yeah, no. That looks great. Looks like a Michael Mann movie. Do you have any favorite fire-related, firefighter-related films?
No.
You two both seem to be getting along a lot better than I expected,
Yeah.
which sucks for my purposes.
Well, I mean, before the segment started, we were kind of at each other's throats, and you were the calming presence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should go. Maybe that's what I will do, okay? Actually, perfect for this segment, which is called America the Beautiful, okay? You will both have 240 seconds to brainstorm a real-life practical solution to show off America's beauty, okay? You have to come up with an idea to show off America's beauty.
Okay.
The idea must be 100% original, and you must both 100% agree on what it is.
Okay.
Okay? You have 240 seconds,
Okay.
starting now.
Hit me. What are we working with?
Okay, so America the Beautiful, I think that we got to go back to our roots.
We have different roots. I'm from Georgia.
Where people thought it was okay to disagree.
Uh-huh.
I think that makes America beautiful.
Let's take it back to a time when people knew a little bit more about the land than people do now, maybe.
So maybe it's training communities, influencers,
Yes.
on what it actually means to create sustainable environments.
I'm creating the program to educate.
How are we going to be good stewards, but how are we actually going to be actively involved in being those good stewards? And you said earlier, time, treasures, and
Talent.
talent.
Yeah.
So how do we bring the talent, the treasures, and the time together for something that helps America be beautiful?
I think we've got it.
All right, you're going to have to recount all that.
I will.
That's time. So I want to hear what you guys came up with. Maybe Shark Tank style, just kind of like present it to me, your great
Okay.
idea.
So we're thinking designing an educational program for youth to teach them about the environment, the world around them, indigenous ways of knowing, indigenous ways of seeing. We're also thinking about dialogical practices. We're thinking about communication skills, that teaching youth to be able to have conversations with people who have different views than them so that we can come up with solution-oriented conversations. What else are you going to add here?
Nail it. No, I mean, I think that's really good. The only other piece is, at the same time, I think using the influence from maybe the fire department or from social media or influencers to say that America is beautiful. And let's work together to maintain this beauty.
And it all starts with me coming to hang out with the firefighters for a day.
I asked her to come for a ride out. I ride on the fire engine. She's
I
gonna
can't
love
wait.
it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's where it's all starting.
Well, then I got something for you.
What?
Okay.
What
Got
is
you a
it?
hat.
Oh my gosh, for me?
And I got you this black cup,
Oh, thank you so much. Wait, what does it say? So
but this is
cool.
actually a magic cup.
Why?
I'll show you.
Oh my God. Whoa, that is magic.
Is it happening?
That is really cool. All you have to do is burn yourself in a fire.
Dip it into
There you
active flames.
Yeah.
Careful.
There you
Careful,
go.
everyone. Wow, thank you so much. That's beautiful. Oh my
It's not black
God.
anymore.
I'm glad you're enjoying the hot cocoa because it was a trick, actually, to get you into another segment.
Okay.
This segment is called Hot Takes with Hot Cocoa,
Nice.
in which you both are going to share a take that you used to think was hot, strange, out there, okay, controversial, but over time has kind of settled, become lukewarm, and you kind of think that it's a standard thing that everyone should think.
All right, I'm gonna say one. Y'all might not like it, but I do think if you say that you love animals, you would not eat them. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
I love my dogs. I wouldn't eat my dogs. That is true.
But what's the difference between a dog and a pig? Like, why? Why?
Yeah, the pigs don't live with me.
That's
Okay,
turn, right?
yeah, Dan, what's your hot take that has gotten cold?
I used to be really wary of people that were very outspoken and thought that everybody should, just be in their lane, that you got to be careful what you say in society. But I think I changed my mind a little bit because I think that when you're outspoken, you inspire action. It's just how you do it. I think we can all agree that just being outspoken to be outspoken's sake and looking for maybe likes on social media, that's not appropriate use. But if you have a cause, if you have a vision, if you want to inspire action for good, then I see a lot of benefit in that, and I've shifted my viewpoint there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm very outspoken, but one thing I've learned is that the moment that someone feels judged by what you're saying, they stop listening to you and the conversation ends. So you're right. You have to be outspoken in a certain way that you leave it open for dialogue and communication. So I agree.
Well, I mean, I'm sure this is not the most important factor of this situation, but I do feel like at times it takes a devastating fire like the Palisades fire, where it comes right up to your doorstep, for people to really pay attention and listen and have a psychological impact. And I'm curious, for both of you, what was that psychological impact? Or as a therapist, what did you notice in people here in Los Angeles, when that fire happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think of course, at first people were quite shocked, but then over time there comes some realizations, and I think a lot of people talked about how, yes, it was devastating and terrible, and people lost everything, but it made their faith in their community a lot stronger. That they felt that they could actually turn to their neighbors and turn to the people around them and be vulnerable and ask for help and receive help with grace, and that was a really cool thing that came out of it.
The firefighters that responded to the Palisades, the LA City, LA County firefighters, deserve so much more credit than they'll ever be given. Yes, during that moment, people saw them as heroes and saw what they did selfishly. But since then, there's been a lot of blame, and it's been directed towards some of my peers, the fire chiefs, what they could have done. It's second-guessing their actions. And that blame's misplaced in some cases. Being a fire chief is hard, and making decisions, quick decisions, where you have very little time to think and you're thinking back on your experiences and your education, there's nothing more unforgiving than that. I think rallying around the fire service here in Los Angeles is something that you see a lot of people doing, but there's a few people that aren't. And it's not right. Again, the men and women did everything they could to protect this community. When you look at some of the so-called failures, a lot of it's noise, and they're forgetting about the signals. And that's, what did the community itself do to prevent this fire? What did they do on their own properties? Did they have vegetation management practices? Were they creating a fire-resistant atmosphere around their houses? Once you have that kind of wind-driven event, it doesn't matter if you have no water. The water systems are going to fail on every single large fire. It doesn't matter if you have fire engines that are broken. That's normal. I mean, we're a fire service. Just like your cars break down, so do our fire engines. You are overwhelmed. And so it's the LA County firefighters, the LA City firefighters doing their best in almost impossible conditions and giving selflessly, their families sacrificing, and then to have a few naysayers turn around and start pointing fingers. I think that's wrong. We need help as firefighters. We can't solve the world. We need great people, but we also need our communities and our neighborhoods to come to the realization that you have a responsibility living in Southern California in this environment. We can't do our job unless we have society support us and to rally around us and to do their part to prevent the next fire. There will be another Palisades fire. There will be, matter of time.
Is there a message that you both would like, 30 seconds to speak directly into the camera and tell the audience something that they need to know about the environment, about protecting our environment, something that you urgently want to share?
Yeah, I have one. Okay, this is what I would like to say. I think people think that there's nothing that they can do. It becomes overwhelming thinking about climate change and thinking about, we scroll, we see all the bad things that are happening, and I think we get overwhelmed and think that, what could I do to make a difference? You can do something, we can all do something. Just pick one local community organization that you believe in, that you believe is actually making a difference, and start volunteering there. You don't have to start your own nonprofit. You don't have to go vegan tomorrow. I would love it if you did. You don't have to. Just pick one community organization and start volunteering once a month, and you can make a difference. You truly can. We all can.
I think the world's changing around us, and we're seeing a lot of devastation, disasters that are occurring. It's important to work with your local public safety, whether it's law enforcement or fire, and understand that they truly are looking out after your best interest. Work with them to prevent the bad things from happening. And that's on the homeowner level if your house is in a wildland-urban interface. Make sure you're doing your part so that the firefighters can do theirs in saving your community. It's also to listen to firefighters. When we say you need to evacuate, please evacuate. A lot of our sometimes problems is people wait too long, and as we're bringing firefighters in, they're trying to leave, or now we're rescuing people in the path of the fire instead of being able to do our job. Not only support your fire departments, your firefighters. The job is hard. It's hard emotionally, it's hard mentally, it's hard physically. The image that some people have that firefighters just sitting around playing checkers, that's the oldest one, it's just so wrong. The firefighters are amongst the hardest men and women that I've ever met that are constantly working. And in the middle of the day, if they're sleeping, it's because they've been up all night helping people. But continue to support us. It means the world to us when you wave to us as we go by. It means the world to us when you write a note and just say, hey, thank you. Those things keep us going.
I am honored. I'm delighted to get to talk to people like you. I'm not the most optimistic person in the world, but talking to people like you who care and change and the work that you do, Dan, and I'm just, it's such a privilege to get to talk to both of you, seriously. So thank you for being here. And would you guys mind taking we're at the beach, right? Taking a nice family vacation photo with me.
We've got to. I wouldn't leave without a photo.
Okay, let's do it. Come on, let's get up.
Can I put my hat on now?
Of course.
My San Bernardino County fire hat
Do it.
for a photo?
It's a little wet for some reason, so be careful. It's slick and windy. A little closer. There you go. Oh, careful. Okay. You guys look like the Beach Boys. I love it. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Say the fire pit.
Fire pit.